Well, hello, folks. Welcome back to the CHEK blog. I'm here again with our old friend Warren Williams. Hey, Warren, how are you?
I'm good. Good to be back. This is two in a
I
row.
know, two in a row is so exciting. I'm hoping this is we're setting a trend here because we love to have you on the CHEK blog.
I'd
So
love to be here.
yeah, so thanks so much for joining us. For those of you who are joining us for the first time, welcome. And if you don't know Warren Williams, I don't know what to tell you. Yeah, Warren is a CHEK faculty member with us here at the CHEK Institute. He teaches HLC 1 and HLC 2 for us. He's also the founder and owner of Warren Williams Coaching in London.
Yes.
In London. So if you happen to be in London, I can't say enough good things about Warren. You should, and if you're in need of coaching, he's like the guy to talk to. So we're very lucky to have Warren with us today. We're going to talk about success versus fulfillment today. So what does that mean, success versus fulfillment?
Yeah. A lot of people equate success as something to do with, happiness, and it really isn't. I'm going to kind of explain that in a second. So, there's a saying, successful people, success is getting what you want, but happiness is wanting what you get.
Mm-hmm.
So, and some people, oh, what does that mean? Well, successful people, they can go out and get anything they want.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna have this new car, new house, and we see this stuff with, and I don't want to give these people any more press than they already have, but like the Kardashians, everybody knows
Yeah.
who they are.
Mm.
But so many people watch their shows because they're living in this unfulfilled state, and we're going to get to that in a
Mm.
minute. And they look at successful people and they think, I'm just going to watch them because they're successful. I want to see what success looks like, and they
Mm.
think success is the acquisition of wealth, and
Mm.
that's what they equate it to. If I just had a little bit more money, I'd
Mm.
be happy. So, successful people, success is getting what you want. So successful
Mm.
people can go out and get anything that they want.
Mm.
And a lot of the time they're getting what they want because they're covering up a need inside.
Mm.
Paul talks a lot about, a good friend Paul CHEK, talks a
Mm.
lot about, how people that are obese or overweight,
Mm.
they are feeding themselves physically because they are devoid
Mm.
energetically, emotionally.
Mm.
So they're hungry, they're starving emotionally, so they feed themselves physically to try and offset this imbalance in themselves. And a lot of the times they're doing this because they're unfulfilled.
Mm.
So there's a great book. A lot of people have heard of it, Rich Dad Poor Dad. And in the book, he interviews so many multi millionaires and billionaires, and he found that, he said unequivocally throughout the whole of these interviews, he said every single one of them were unfulfilled. They were
Mm.
unhappy. And some people who have no or have little money or lack abundance will say, whatever, I'll take their money any day. I'm going to be happy with it.
Mm.
But yet, these people are a living testament to the fact that success isn't based about how much money you have and how many things you can purchase.
Mm.
And the thing with the mind
Mm.
is the mind always wants something new. I always say this thing, like if you go on Amazon and you want to buy something, the excitement reaches fever pitch. It reaches the highest when you make the purchase. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited about this new purchase.
Mm.
The excitement is still high because of the anticipation.
Mm-hmm.
Once the gift arrives, the anticipation is still high because you haven't opened it yet.
Mm-hmm.
Once you've opened it, the anticipation starts to drop. The excitement starts to drop because now you own it.
Mm.
And
Mm-hmm.
you may play with that thing one day, or if it's a new car, you might drive that car the first week. You're so excited. You're looking at everybody looking at you in your car.
Mm-hmm.
After a while, the gimmick is over. You're
Yeah.
used to whatever it is you've purchased.
Yeah.
So if you get what you want, such as the new car or the new
Mm.
house, you've gone in every bedroom in the house, you've looked out, you've invited your friends around to show, look how great my house is. All of that stuff is over.
Mm-hmm.
You're not fulfilled. And they did this for fulfillment, but they realized they can't be fulfilled by an acquisition of something.
Mm.
So the successful person can purchase as many things as they want, but they're always unfulfilled if they think happiness is about what you can acquire.
Mm.
So, leading that onto another saying, happy people don't have the best of everything. They
Mm.
just make the best of everything.
Mm. Yeah.
Happiness is true fulfillment.
Yeah.
And that comes from something innate, internal, something that you're passionate about. So, I've had, people, I've had clients that are very wealthy, and they say to me that you're probably the most successful person I know.
Mm.
And they have far more wealth than I have. And they're
Mm.
not talking about finance, they're talking about success in terms of fulfillment, because they
Mm.
say they can tell that, I'm very fulfilled in the fact that I love what I do and I'm living with purpose and passion.
Mm.
And, there have been examples of people that have gone to the moon. And, imagine going to the moon.
Yeah.
How do you top that?
Yeah. Yeah.
So a lot of these people, they go there, they get the Medal of Honor, they
Mm.
have a ticker tape parade. You're on TV for the next month doing lots of interviews, and then what happens is they come home and reality sets in. I'll never top that,
Yeah.
and you're no longer fulfilled.
Yeah.
So to be fulfilled, and before I actually go into fulfillment, one more thing about success and happiness is that happiness is the ability to be present with the reality of life.
Mm.
Yeah, happiness is the ability to be present with the reality of life.
Mm.
And if you're present with the reality of life, that means the reality is challenges.
Okay. Yeah. 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 Mm-hmm.
Just, you accept good and bad will happen,
Mm-hmm.
and it can happen all the time. And I remember I was talking to Angie CHEK, and she was saying, she's talking about a barometer. When you look at the wave form,
Mm.
and you look at, someone's heartbeat,
Mm-hmm.
there's always peaks and valleys.
Yeah.
And that's life. And when someone dies, it's flatlined.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
most people who don't understand this think that life is about a steady flow.
Mm.
But when you look at someone who's, on the respirator and, has that line going up and down,
Mm-hmm.
if they were dead, that would be flatline.
Mm.
So life isn't about a steady flow. It's about challenges as well as, great abundance and benefits.
Yeah.
It's about the peaks and valleys. So life is about the good and bad. It is about the challenges.
Yeah,
So
and this goes a lot back to the previous video that we were talking about, and the happiness is in some ways your perception of those peaks and valleys, and your
yeah,
responses to those peaks and valleys.
yeah. So and with that, when it comes to how people react to things, we might have said this in other videos, but there's three things that happen. First of all, you see the event.
Mm.
Second, you react to the event, and then third, you internalize it.
Mm.
And it's the internalizing that causes problems in people because they have physiological stress because of that.
Yeah.
So with stress, there's two different forms of stress. There's 6 different forms, but 2 different ways of interpretation or how reactionary it happens in the body. There's situational stress,
Mm-hmm.
and there's physiological stress. So physiological stress could be eating bad food, like you had a bad curry.
Yeah, right.
It's a physiological stress.
Yeah,
It's a
right.
bad stress. Or you got hit by a baseball bat. That's that's physiological, body-wide stress. But then there's situational stress, and situational stress is how you react mentally to something. You break up with a partner. That's an emotional situational stress. Or your house gets repossessed. That's a situation that's stressful. So situational stress. So with both those 2 forms of stress, how you interpret that determines whether or not you can stay in a state of success and happiness, in the terms of fulfillment. That's why, it goes back to happiness is the ability to be present with the reality of life. Because if you know that people, it's a reality that loved ones will die. That's a reality. But if you can, it doesn't mean, I can't wait till someone dies so I can, no. It just means that you understand the reality of life,
Yeah.
and it doesn't change your state. Because when we talk about fulfillment, what we're really talking about now is the state that you're in and the state of being that you can be in from moment to moment. So sure, bad things will happen in life and good things will happen in life. But if you can always be present with a state of joy and gratitude for life in general, the gratitude that you breathe, the gratitude that you have the ability to learn and grow and to have friends around you, then whenever bad things happen, you're able to stay in that state of fulfillment. So, when it comes to fulfillment, being fulfilled is to always live in a beautiful state. Being fulfilled is being grateful for the good and for the bad. And if you are able to stay in the fulfilled state and be grateful for the good and the bad, then it doesn't really matter whether or not you have an abundance of money all the time.
Mm.
Because multimillionaires and billionaires will tell you money is fleeting, it can come and go. And
Mm.
if that's how you define, your happiness, then you might as well stay in your house and save everything.
Mm.
You'll never spend any money. So, the point again is, success isn't about how much money you have. It's also about success of mind, success of character, success of relationships. You could have an abundance of relationships and as well as an abundance of money. You could have an abundance of health as well as an abundance of money. And there's a lot of people that are successful financially but are unfulfilled in their level of health.
Mm-hmm.
So, like somebody else said, what's the point of being the richest man in the graveyard? So a lot of these rich people, and they are living this fast life, but they die quick because they're unfulfilled with their choices of health and vitality. So, going back to that rich dad, poor dad, the billionaires that said that they were unhappy, a lot of their unhappiness was related to choices that they felt they weren't doing. So even though they had all the money in the world, they were unfulfilled because they were not growing. And fulfillment also comes back to growing every single day, trying to do more, because if you don't do more, you're stuck. And it's not, success isn't just about, like we said, money. It's about growing every single day, learning something and feeling that you're contributing to the world. Because if you feel you're contributing to the world in you being who you are, then you live in a state of fulfillment. So when people come to us and they talk about their dreams, and their dream is, I want to get out of back pain. Well, what's that stopping you from doing? And many people are doing something to get to something else. They're working in a job because they want to do something else.
Right.
Or they're coming to you to get out of back pain because they want to do something else. What's it stopping you from doing? So, and it's really sad, just thinking about that most people are doing something to get to something else. So, and I know people that, I'll give you another example, like one of my clients, she's probably, the company's massive. I can't remember what the company's called, but it's like one of the biggest companies in the world. Like their turnover was something like 40 billion. It's a massive company. Yeah. She's like the fourth from the top in the company, and her boss is like, the managing director or whatever. And she talks about him, and she's trying to get him to see me, and he's very, very unhappy, very angry, and he's missed millions. And she just had a baby, so she's been off from work, and we've been able to do a lot more work because she's fulfilled right now, because she has someone to love that is greater than her.
Yeah.
And she went into the office the other day. She saw the boss, and he was just shouting at the phone, blah, blah, blah. And the boss, has a child who's very sick, who's had multiple heart surgeries and all this sort of stuff. And the wife used to be a housewife, and now she wants to go back into work because she's unfulfilled, because she's just staying at home being a housewife. And not that there's nothing wrong with that. It's just her sense of unfulfillment. So she went back to work, and the dad hardly sees the daughter because he's so busy making money. And so my client said to him, well, why don't you take some time off to spend some time with your daughter? And he was like, oh, there's no time for that. So he's unfulfilled, but he's chasing money. So, and he's angry, he's sad. And so he was like, she was like, well, what's going to happen with the daughter when the wife goes back to work? We'll get a nanny. And then she said, well, how much time will you spend with your daughter? I'll probably see her once every 2 weeks. Are you happy about that? No, but I got to make money. And she's sick. So, he's unfulfilled, but he's successful. That's not the life that I want. And I'm sure that's not the life that most people want for themselves. So, and, they say people with power always want more power, because they're never fulfilled. They think more power will make them fulfilled.
I was going to ask you, in this case, I mean, one of the things that Paul says sometimes is that if you can't make yourself happy, then oftentimes people will make themselves unhappy. They will make themselves feel pain, because it's a way of making yourself feel alive, right? If you're not happy and you're not feeling pain or sadness, well, you're not feeling anything, and then you don't feel alive at all. And oftentimes causing yourself pain is a lot easier than bringing yourself happiness.
Mm.
And so, you wonder whether oftentimes if you can't make yourself happy, then chasing after the money, even though it makes you angry or whatever, it's making you feel something.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah,
Mm,
pain is so much easier. It's the
mm,
fastest response because
mm.
you can just hit yourself and feel
That's
pain.
right.
So that's why you have a lot of self-harmers. Because
Yeah.
like you said, if you can't feel, then you feel like you're dead anyway. So you might as well
Mm,
just hurt yourself. So at least I'm
yeah.
feeling something.
Yeah.
And people always choose the easy option.
Yeah.
It's easier to take the narrow path or the easy path.
Mm,
For a lot of people, so pain is the easy path.
mm,
But with getting back to the success thing again, like
mm,
success is a strategy. If you want to be successful, you want to make money, you put in enough hours
mm,
and you get the right strategy and the right skill set, you'll
mm,
be successful.
mm,
Success is easy in terms of
mm,
if you know the
mm,
strategy
mm,
of success
mm,
and you know the formula for success and you're willing to do the work for success,
mm,
pretty much anyone can be successful
mm, mm.
because it's just a skill set.
Yeah.
But success is something that can be learned.
Yeah.
Get yourself around a guru, spend some money, get a loan. Anyone
Mm,
can be successful if they
mm,
think success is about finance.
mm,
But being fulfilled, that's your job. Being fulfilled is an innate passion or love. So, when you talk to a lot of people that do specific jobs,
mhm,
when they talk about their job, it's like not never, but most of the time, people talk about their job in a negative way. What
mm,
do you do? I'm just a such and such.
mm,
They don't say, "Oh my gosh, I love
mm.
And when they talk about what they do, they call it work. And
Yeah.
work in the dictionary is hard.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's work. It's hard. It's a
Yeah.
grind.
Yeah.
And if that's your association with what you do when it comes to financial stuff and you call it work,
Mm,
then you're going to have a different relationship when you walk out the door to achieve or do that
mm,
if you call it work. So there's three different grades on this. You've got work, you've got career,
mm,
because now career is a little bit different because at least you think you're contributing to something.
mm,
And it's an upward trajectory. Like
mm,
my career, I'm going to get to this position, then this
mm,
position.
mm.
But then the most powerful is when it's passion.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you got work, then you got career, and then you got passion.
Yeah.
But if you're working for a passion, then the passion is your purpose, and the purpose is your dream.
Mm,
Then it's your legacy. Then it's like I've come to this planet to do this. So a lot of people that I talk to, I can't have conversations about other stuff. I
mm.
mean, I can like what we did off camera,
Yeah.
martial arts,
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
But in general,
Yeah.
my main thing that I want to talk about is always to do with health.
Yeah.
And then some people are like, is that all you talk about?
Mm,
You just talk about work. I'm like, well, it's not work.
mm.
I don't see it as work. You can
Yeah.
detach from work because you see work as a drag. I
Yeah.
don't see what I do as a drag. I see
Yeah.
it as my legacy. So why would I want to talk about anything else? Well, I want to talk about this stuff
Yeah.
because I love it.
Mm,
So, if you love it, then you're fulfilled.
mm.
But if it's work, then you're unfulfilled. And
Yeah.
if it's pain, then your pain is only trying to take you away from the thing that you loathe that you describe as work.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So, if you can't shift, get around people that are more passionate about what they do and something will hit you.
Mm.
And that's one of the easiest things, get around inspiring people and something will hit you just by being around them. As you know, you are the subtotal of the people that you hang around the most,
Yeah.
or you are the 5 people you hang around the most, as well as
Yeah.
one way that some people put it. The
Yeah.
5 people that you hang around with the most are more like the person that you are.
Mm-hmm.
So, get around people that are inspiring, that are passionate, that are driven, and something in you will charge and change, and you want to be like them, and you'll move. So that's another way that you can become fulfilled. If you can't find fulfillment in yourself, find it in others that are more fulfilled and mirror it from them to find what you want to do in life.
Mm.
You
Mm.
know, um,
That reminds me of. Have you heard of Pascal's wager?
no,
Yeah. So
no.
so Pascal's wager. I mean, he's I think an 18th century philosopher, but he said that. Well, look, the rational thing to believe in God is to believe in God, and here's why. If you believe and God exists, well, then you get a great reward, right?
Mm,
If you don't believe but God exists, well, then you get a horrible punishment, right? Because you go to hell. If you believe but God doesn't exist, well, maybe you waste your time going to church a little bit, but that's not terrible. And if you don't believe and God doesn't exist, well, maybe you get a little free time because you didn't go to church. But otherwise, so it looks like the most rational thing to do is to choose to believe, because if he exists, then you get this unimaginable reward, right?
mm,
But that's not how belief works, right? I
mm,
can't just say, well, it's most rational for me to believe, so bing, all of a sudden I have this belief.
mm,
That's not how beliefs work. So what Pascal said is a lot about similar to what you said, which is that, well, if you want to come to believe, you hang around other people who do believe it, and
mm.
it sort of rubs off on you.
Yeah.
It becomes a way of thinking just by being with those
Mm,
people. And
yeah,
success,
exactly.
and or fulfillment, rather, we're
Mm,
talking about fulfillment. Very similar thing. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And a lot of times people, the reason why people are unfulfilled is because they're so worried about self-judgment or other people's opinions of them.
Mm.
And a lot of times people are doing like, people that are trying to keep up with the Joneses
Mm.
financially. Like, sometimes you see people and, they're broke, but they've got an amazing car,
Mm. Mm-hmm.
And a lot of that is because they're trying to keep up the Joneses so they can have this perceived success
Mm.
because they think that when people see them as successful, somehow they're happy, but they're continually living this lie of denial.
Mm.
So, a lot of this time, people are so worried about other people's opinions of them
Mm.
that they model this fake perception of success by
Mm.
externalizing it with acquisition of things.
Yeah.
Oh, look at my beautiful house, but I'm unhappy. Look at my beautiful wife, but I'm unhappy in this
Mm.
relationship.
Mm.
Look at the fact that I go to church every single week. I'm such a good guy. And they're doing it for other
Mm.
people. It's always about something else,
Mm.
within them. But if you want to be fulfilled, it's got to be more than you.
Mm.
It's got to be more than the opinions of others.
Mm-hmm.
It's got to be bigger, and that's why it's got to be a dream, and it's got to be a global dream. It's got to be a legacy dream. So
Mm.
if you go down the road of trying to find success to find happiness,
Mm.
then you're on a road of perception based on other people's opinions. Because when you buy, think of it like this:
Mm.
these really rich people that buy these houses, they don't buy the house so no one sees it.
Mm.
They buy the house so everyone sees it. They buy this car so everyone watches them down the road. They buy this suit so everyone's impressed by it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's always externalized.
Yeah.
And I always say to people, if there was no one else on the planet Earth, do you really think someone's gonna have some £500,000 car for no one else to see?
Yeah.
Otherwise, just leave it in your garage.
Yeah.
If it's just for you, and this is the thing people say, no, it's just for me. Well, if it's just for you, leave the car in the garage because you're the only one that needs to see it, right?
Yeah.
It's always because they're trying to let other people see them as successful.
Yeah. Yeah.
People buy a house. They don't buy a house underground so no one sees it.
Yeah. And I think in the Western world, we've really constructed our lives so that everything has to run through success, through
Yeah.
acquisition, right? I mean, especially in the United States, you almost have to succeed to survive, right? Because
Mm.
you have to buy your health care. You have to invest in the stock market to make sure that you can retire comfortably, right?
Mm.
Everything is about the success and acquisition. Our entire lives run through that mindset. I must succeed, and I must succeed almost to survive.
Yeah. And then that's where you have parents that force their children to take college and university. You've got to be successful. You've got to work 9 to 5.
Mm-hmm.
You've got to make us proud.
Yeah,
And
be a
that comes back
doctor.
yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Why should I be a doctor? You get a lot of money.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But what about what I want to do? And
Mm-hmm.
you on leading on to your point where you have a lot of children that want to do unproductive,
Mm-hmm.
financially unproductive,
Mm-hmm.
such as I want to be a school teacher.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, why would I want to do that?
Mm-hmm.
Be a doctor or be an accountant. There's a lot of money in that. You'll be happy.
Mm-hmm.
And again, it comes back to success
Yeah.
being represented as fulfillment.
Yeah.
All about being fulfilled. Oh, don't worry about that. You're going to be successful. You'll be happy. No, you're not going to be happy because you're doing what other people want you to do. Again, it's living for others.
Yeah.
So whenever it's about other people, you can never be fulfilled because it's always for other people.
Yeah.
It has to be about you and what you want to contribute to the world. So as Paul breaks down to us, the third chakra comes back in when we're looking at personal power, self-will, the ego, self-identity, and what's my legacy.
Mm.
So we spoke about the ego in the last, talk, but the ego, the identity of who and what you think you are. And that again ties into fulfillment anyway, because if you're fulfilled, you fulfill your ego and you fulfill your legacy. And personal power is making your own choices. Personal power is learning to say no.
Mm-hmm.
Like we said on one of our other talks, your yes has no power until you learn to say no.
Mm.
So saying no and not caring about other people's opinions is when you start to reclaim your power. And when you reclaim your power, that means you start to make choices that are only for you. And when you make choices that are only for you, you can only be fulfilled, because who's the only person that's being fulfilled by your own choice? Only you. You're eventually it filters out. But as Paul uses the model, we all fulfilled yourself first, and others will be fulfilled because of it. So, in closing on that, if we focus on fulfilling ourselves and living our legacy, then we are happy. And success is only a byproduct of happiness, because happiness started within us internally before it was expressed externally.
Yeah. And it sounds like, in a way, if you find that fulfillment, then success is almost, in some ways, a necessary byproduct.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
Except
Yeah.
you're healthier.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, and I like the way you said that.
Yeah.
So it's like, if people do it the other way around,
Yeah.
like they say, hurt people,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
and because people are in pain,
Mm-hmm.
they create pain in others,
Mm.
and those people are unfulfilled in the first place, and then they try to make other people unfulfilled. And you see a lot of angry, unfulfilled people
Mm.
covering it up by, first of all, trying to do it the other way around. I'm
Mm.
going to make money and then I'm going to be happy.
Mm. Mm.
No, be happy and then you'll make money.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because if you're happy, like Paul Chek was saying one time, even moths are drawn to flames.
Mm-hmm.
So he was like, if you raise your vibrational frequency and you are the anchor, when that saying, success is something you attract, not something you pursue.
Mm. Mm-hmm.
So if you change your vibrational state, and that means you live in a beautiful state, which means you are always in a state of fulfillment or gratitude, then you attract to you the money, the finance, the abundance, the love, all those sort of things anyway. But most people are doing it the wrong way around, which is why most of the planet in the Western world are unfulfilled.
Yeah. So if there's any one thing that you do with your clients to help them sort of switch from the success first to the fulfillment first kind of perspective, what is it? What do you use? What techniques, or how do you get? What's the first thing you do with your clients to sort of facilitate that switch?
Yeah, like what we said last time, it's so important that they go through the stage of accountability. So, to create the shift, it's always self-awareness. It always has to be the same thing. Mm. So, when people come to me and they say that they're unfulfilled, then the first thing we have to establish is, what do you love doing? And they may not know. So you say, what did you love doing before you were working? Because when they work, they're now just in the run of the mill, the 9 to 5. So you say, okay, what did you love doing when you were a child? And a lot of times they don't know. So you tell them to go away and think about the things that they loved doing that they've given up for work, or that they've loved doing but they've given up to raise a family, or they've loved doing but they've given up to make ends meet. And once they because everybody was happier when they were a child before they got beaten up by life.
Right.
So you get them to basically find out what are the things that they have given up to do what they're doing to make money.
Yeah.
And once they can establish that, like one of my clients, she used to get her friends together, and they would go to the pub once every 2 weeks and just chill out and have a laugh and play cards and all sorts of stuff. And we established that she hadn't been doing that for years, and something that she'd forgotten about. And then we said, okay, now let's make that a core value. So once they've established these core values of things that are meaningful to them, and they start reacting to those things, then they become more successful in the stage of fulfillment. So, identify the things that you've given up to do what you're doing financially, and then re-embrace those things. And what I found is, once people start to take on board the things that they've given up to become successful, then they become fulfilled. I know it seems like really simple, but the hardest things in the world are the most the most complex things that don't need to be complex. It's simplicity. The beauty is in simplicity. So, yeah, fulfillment is remembering the things that you've given up to do what you're doing today.
Wow, and that feels like nothing else needs to be said.
A whole great spirit.
That's right, a whole great spirit. Well, thanks again, Warren. This was, as always, so enlightening. I so thoroughly enjoy our conversation. So thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having me. I love, the interaction I have with you. It's so easy. You make it so easy to kind of share. So thank you very much.
Oh, you're welcome. Well, all I do is just sort of nod and go, okay. I'm good at that. All right, thanks, Warren. Let's do this again soon.
No worries.
Yep. Bye bye.